Hi everyone, let's take a look at the following limit. Find the limit of the square root of 1 plus 2x minus 3 all over the square root of x minus 2 as x is approaching to 4. Step number 1. Let's draw an arrow here. If you plug in x to be 4, this equals to, and I'll put this in quotation marks, 4, when you plug it in, that's going to be 2 times 4, which is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. Here comes the mental math. The square root of 9 is going to be 3. 3 minus 3 is going to be 0. If you look at the denominator, the square root of 4, that's going to be 2. 2 minus 2, that's going to be 0 again. So you end up getting 0 divided by 0, 1 of the 7 types of indeterminates. And that is okay. You move on to step 2. And step 2 is either you try to factor it or you multiply by the conjugate, and it depends on the actual function. In this case, because there's a square root, this signals to you you can multiply by the conjugate. And again, you can do this in one step. You can break it down to 2 steps. Let's do this one step at a time. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of x plus 2 divided by the square root of x plus 2. Now what this means is this is going to be the limit as x is approaching to 4. If I look at the denominator, I think about difference of squares. A minus b times a plus b is going to be a squared minus b squared, so x minus 4. If I look at the numerator, I'm going to copy it as is. So 1 plus 2x in the square root minus 3 and the square root of x plus 2. Now, if you think about this, again, I could plug in x to be 4 and you would discover you're still going to get 0 divided by 0, and that's okay. You multiply by the conjugate again, except this time you're going to multiply by the square root of 1 plus 2x plus 3 divided by itself. And again, be mindful, you're doing one of 2 things. Number 1, you're multiplying it by 1 because it's the square root of 1 plus 2x plus 3 divided by itself. But more importantly, number 2, you're changing the actual form. Are you ready? If you think about this, and I'll use a different color for you so you can see what I am looking at. A minus b times a plus b is a squared minus b squared. So instead of moving on to page 2, I'm going to erase this so you can see that next step right here. A minus b or a minus b times a plus b is going to be a squared minus b squared. So in this case, if I erase this, 1 plus 2x in a square root multiplied by itself is going to give you exactly the following. Let me go back to the other color for you. Or maybe I'll change it to this color. It's going to be 1 plus 2x. So again, the square root of 1 plus 2x times the square root of 1 plus 2x is going to be 1 plus 2x. And of course, 3 times 3 is going to give you exactly 9. So I can erase the top now. I can change that to a 1. And this is going to be a 9. That's going to be a 1. Now, what does that even mean? Look at this carefully. 1 plus 2x minus 9. If you think about 1 minus 9, that's going to be negative 8. So I'm going to go back. We write this as 2x minus 8. And again, there's a little bit of factoring. So 2x minus 8 is what I'm thinking about. But again, if you factor that 2 to the front, it's going to be 2 times x minus 4. And this is key. The fact that you can cross out the top and the bottom signals to you you're one step away from getting full marks. So I'm just going to copy this right here. 1 plus 2x plus 3. So I can erase this part at the end here. And now the difficult part is over. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the actual number now. So on the following page, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug in x to be 4. So it's going to be equal to 2 times, and again, I'm just plugging in. I'm going to go back to the first page. I'm going to plug in x to be 4. So it's going to be the square root of 4 plus 2 divided by, again, I'm going to plug in x to be 4. That's going to be 1 plus 2 times 4 plus 3. Now, if I clean this up, and again, you can take the calculator, you can do mental math, it's up to you. This equals to the following. So square root of 4 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is going to be 8. If I look at the denominator, 1 plus 8 is 9, square root of 9 is 3, plus 3, that's going to be 6. So it's going to be exactly 4 divided by 3. Now, just in case you're thinking, how do I know I am doing this right? Don't guess, think. What I'm going to do is graph this on the side. So again, let's switch colors here. Here's a graph. Again, let's say I am looking at quadrant number 1. This is X. This is going to be Y. Let's say this is 1. This is 2. And let's go all the way to 4. Okay. Now let's go back to the first color. Again, this is how you know if you're doing it right. A lot of students, they finish limits and they stop after the step, which is fine. You can still get perfect, but you don't really know for sure unless you double check. So I'm going to go back and graph this. So if I go back and I graph y equal to the square root of 1 plus 2x minus 3 divided by the square root of x minus 2, the graph, roughly speaking, looks something like this. It's going to be a cavity or a hole right there. I'll define this as the cavity or the hole located at 4 and 4 over 3. Now there's the x-intercept. You can plug in x to be 0. And in this case, you should get exactly this point right here. So 0, 1. And it's going to look something, roughly speaking, like that. So again, by looking at the graph, you look at the left limit. Let me switch colors one last time. You look at the left limit and you can say, oh, okay, it's going to trace all the way to 4 over 3. You look at the right limit, it's going to trace exactly to 4 over 3. I know this is the same color, actually. This is how you know the final answer is 4 over 3. I hope this makes sense.